Okay, let's go to our next technique, which is multiplying two numbers ending in 5, like these. Let's multiply 25 into 45. Here, we first multiply 5 into 5, which is 25, and we write it down here. Now, we take the numbers preceding the 5s, which here are 2 and 4, and we multiply them into each other. So 4 times 2, then we add the answer to their average or mean. And what is the average of 2 and 4? It is 2 plus 4 divided by 2. 2 plus 4 equals to 6 divided by 2 equals to 3. So, what is 4 times 2 plus 3? It is 8 plus 3 or 11. And we write down 11 next to 25, and that's it, we're done. So, our next example is a bit harder. Here again, we first multiply 5 into 5, which is 25. And we take the numbers preceding the 5s, which here are 22 and 10. We multiply them into each other, and we add the answer to their average. What is their average? It is 22 plus 10 divided by 2. 22 plus 10 equals to 32, divided by 2 would be 16. Okay, now let's calculate this. This is 220 plus 16, which is 236. And we write it down next to 25 and we're done. This is the answer. You might be thinking that why multiplying in this way works. Don't worry about it for now. I will prove it to you at the end of this video. But for now, you just enjoy the methods. And if you do not trust my answers, you could just use a calculator, which would give you the same answers. Okay, in the two examples so far, the averages were integers. But what if the average is not an integer? Like here to calculate the product as before, we write down 25 here. Then we multiply the numbers preceding the 5s into each other. So 25 times 4 equals to 100 plus their average. And what is their average? It is 25 plus 4 divided by 2, which is 29 divided by 2, and is not an integer. So what should we do? Here, instead of dividing 29 by 2, we divide 28 by 2. So 28 by 2 equals to 14, plus 100 would be 114. But we also changed the 25 into 75. And finally, we write 114 before 75 and we're done. That's it. So this is the method for when the average is not an integer. Now let's see how to square the numbers ending in 5. So for instance, what is the square of 75? As you know, the square of 75 equals to 75 times 75. So it is the multiplication of two numbers ending in 5. As before, 5 times 5 is 25. We write it down here. And we multiply the preceding numbers into each other. Here are 7 and 7. And we add it to their average. And the average of any number and itself is itself. Okay, 7 plus 7 divided by 2 would be 7 again. Now, here, inside parentheses, it is 7 sevens. 7 times 7 means 7 sevens. And outside of it, we got plus 1 7, or plus a 7. Now, here we got 7 sevens plus 1 7. And that would be 8 sevens. Just like 7 apples plus 1 apple would be 8 apples. So 8 sevens means 8 times 7. And that would be 56. And we write down next to 25. And we're done. So to square the numbers ending in 5, we write down 25 and we multiply the number preceding 5 into its next integer. For instance, here we multiplied 7 into 8. And we wrote down the answer next to 25. Now let's calculate the squares of the numbers ending in 5 to 115. And let's start by 15 squared. As before, we should multiply the number preceding 5 into its next integer. So we should multiply 1 into 2, which equals to 2, and next to it 25. So the answer is 225 or 225. Let's go to 25 squared. We should multiply 2 into its next integer 3, then 25. So 2 times 3 equals to 6, and the answer would be 625. Let's go to 35 squared. We should multiply 3 into 4, then 25. So that would be 1225. What about 45 squared? We should multiply 4 into 5, then 25. So it is 2025. What is 55 squared? It is 5 times 6, 25, or 3025. What about 65 squared? It is 6 times 7, which is 42, then 25. And we already calculated 75 squared. So what is 85 squared? It is 8 times 9, 25, or 72, 25. What is 95 squared? It is 9 times 10, 25, or 90, 25. 105 squared is 10 times 11, 25, or 110, 25. And finally, what is 115 squared? It is 11 times 12, 25. And we could calculate 11 times 12 fast. And we have a technique for it. And I talked about it in the full version of this video. you could watch it. Okay, so this would be 132.25. I've talked about way more techniques in the full version of this video. You could watch it on my channel, where you could also find tutorials on different subjects, mathematical subjects like algebra, geometry, calculus, and more. Let's go to prove multiplying the numbers ending in 5 into each other. So for instance, here we can write 25 as 20 plus 5 and 45 as 40 plus 5. Now, if we use the distributive property for a couple of times, we could write it as 20 times 40 plus 20 times 5 plus 40 times 5 plus 5 times 5, which is 25. 20 times 40 would be 800. And again, using the distributive property, we could write the sum of these two as the sum of 20 and 40 times 5. Plus the 25, okay? Now, here, we could write 5 as 10 divided by 2. And as this is a product, we could divide inside the parentheses by 2 instead of dividing 10 by 2. Okay, and this is 10 plus 20. And we could write it as 1 plus 2 times 100. Okay, simple. So far we have 800 plus 300 plus 25. Or 1100 plus 25, which would be 1125. That's what we get using the method I gave you, the fast method, in which we first multiplied 2 into 4, which equals to 8, and add it to their average. Their average is 2 plus 4 divided by 2, which is 3, and that would be 11, and we wrote down 25 in front of it. That's it. Bye bye.